I like to do this one because I don't get a chance to do this very often, and I sang this for a friend of mine funeral, and it was cool. I tell you, I enjoyed the heck out of that. I had a big chorus behind me and everything. So we'll see how it goes. Why me, Lord? What have I ever done to deserve even one of the pleasures I've known? Tell me, Lord, what did I ever do that was worth loving you, or the kindness you've shown? Lord, help me, Jesus, I've wasted it, so help me, Jesus, I know who I am. But now that I know that I've needed you, so help me, Jesus, my soul's in your hand. Tell me, Lord, if you think there's a way I can try to repay all I've taken from you, then maybe, Lord, I can show someone else what I've been through myself on my way back to you. Lord, help me, Jesus, I've wasted it, so help me, Jesus, I know what I am. But now that I know that I've needed you, so help me, Jesus, my soul's in your hand. Lord, help me, Jesus, I've wasted it, so help me, Jesus, I know what I am. But now that I know that I needed you, so help me, Jesus, my soul's in your hand. Jesus, my soul's in your hand. Thank you very much. We got time for one more, little brother.
Which one do you want to do?
Well, how about your well, either one, I don't care.
The
You can do that one, you can do that one, that one would be good, yeah. I thought the other one would be.
oh, okay, that was good. That one.
Ricky Nelson.
The other one.
No, this is good.
Oh, no. We'll get it next time.
Trouble.
Or talk to Randy.
Ricky Nelson.
Oh, shut up. Boy, when they let the door and anybody come in, they just bring in all sorts of riffraff, don't they? My goodness.
Well, let's hear it for Ricky.
This one's for Randy, but only if we do it good.
So, this doesn't go, yeah.
That will sound good.
Yeah. This is something we're all hoping for this time of the
Yes.
year.
Chorus.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Close enough. All right. Are you ready, big brother?
I hope so.
comes the sun. I said, it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun. I said, it's alright. Little darling, the smiles returning to the faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun. I said, it's alright. Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun. I said, it's alright. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun. I said, it's alright. It's alright. It's alright. It was close. It was close. Not perfect, but it was close. Something's not ready in the kitchen, I'm taking.
You got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Here's another Gordon Lightfoot tune. Oh, I should probably turn it to the right page.
Well, that's Traveling Man. That would be for.
I know the song. I don't have to. There's a house on a hill by a worn down weathered old mill in the valley below where the river winds. There's no such thing as hard times. She's a soft southern flame. Oh, Cotton Jenny's her name. She wakes me up when the sun goes down, and that wheel of love goes around, wheel of love go around. Love goes round, love go round. It's a joyful sound. I ain't got a penny for Cotton Jenny to spend, but then the wheels go round. And a new day begins. I go down to the Cotton Gin and I make my time worthwhile to them. Then I climb back up again, and she waits by the door. Oh, Cotton Jenny, I'm sore. She rubs my feet when the sun goes down, and that wheel of love goes around, wheel of love go round. Love goes round, love goes say, well, shut my mouth. I can never be free from the cotton grind. At least I've got what's mine. She's a soft southern flame. Oh, Cotton Jenny's her name. She wakes me up when the sun goes down, and that wheel of love goes around, wheel of love go around. Love goes round, love goes round. It's a joyful sound. I ain't got a penny for Cotton Jenny to spend, but then the wheels go round. Have you enjoyed yourselves? Good, good, super. Huh? More? Sure.
I'll tell you when to stop.
Well, let's try it. Let's try it. What do you want to you want to try? All right.
This is for Randy because he was so boisterous in the beginning. Oh, thank God, Randy.
Well, I'm a traveling man, made a lot of stops all over the world, and in every port I'm on the heart of at least one lovely girl. I've a pretty senorita waiting for me down in old Mexico. If you're ever in Alaska, stop and see my cute little Eskimo. Oh, my sweet Fraulein down in Berlin town makes my heart want to yearn. And my China doll down in old Hong Kong waits for my return. Pretty Polynesian baby over the sea. I remember the night when we walked on the shores of Waikiki, and I held you oh so tight. Whoa, I'm a traveling man. Yes, I'm a traveling man. Whoa, I'm a traveling man. Yes, I'm a traveling man. Well, I'm a traveling man. Made a lot of stops all over the world, and in every port I own the heart of at least one lovely girl. I've a pretty senorita waiting for me down in old Mexico. If you're ever in Alaska, stop and see my cute little Eskimo. Oh, my sweet Fraulein down in Berlin town makes my heart want to yearn. And my China doll down in old Hong Kong waits for my return. Pretty Polynesian baby over the sea. I remember the night when we walked on the shores of Waikiki, and I held you oh so tight. Whoa, I'm a traveling man. Yes, I'm a traveling man. Whoa, I'm a traveling man. Yes, I'm a traveling man.
One more, I guess. Okay.
Not that one, probably. All right. Here's a musical question. That I'm sure many of us here wondered at times, what key do I do?
G flat.
I'm up here?
That's what it says in mine.
No, it's too high. Oh, good. We're in the same key. Here's a musical question for you. And I'm sure many of you can answer this question. I'm close to being this question answered. Like
Close to being this
close to having this question answered. I left my brain at when I get old and losing my head many years from now, will you still be sending me a Valentine, birthday greetings, bottle of wine? If I've been out till 2:45, would you lock the door? Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64? You'll be old then too. And if you say the words, I might stay with you. That was a slip, just in case you didn't know. I could be handy, mending a fuse when your lights are gone. You could knit a sweater by the fireside. Sunday mornings, go for a ride. Doing the garden, digging the weeds. Who could ask for more? Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64? In the summers we could take a cottage in the Isle of Wight if it's not too dear. We shall scrimp and save. Grandchildren on your knees, Vera, Chuck, and Dave. That was a flip on his part. I got it that time. Good. Give me your answer. Fill in the form. Indicate precisely what you mean to say. You're sincerely wasting away. Give me your answer. Fill in the form. Mine forevermore. Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64? Woo! Ha!
How many songs do you know?
Oh, okay. Well,
Do one more. You can do a repeat, that's okay.
well, we got more, right?
Oh, yeah, sure. Anything you want to How about this one?
Oh, no. No.
Neil could come in and do some hand tricks.
How about,
Okay, yeah, the key is-
okay, we have not done this song in at least
Oh, man. Long,
long time. So if we really bomb bad,
like the last one.
enjoy it. You ready?
Yep.
Oh, wrong key. Sorry. There we go. So far, so good. This is a question we can answer too. Grandpa, tell me about those good old days. Sometimes it just feels like this world's gone crazy. And Grandpa, take me back to yesterday, when the lines between right and wrong didn't seem so hazy. Did lovers really fall in love to stay? Stand beside each other, come what may. Promise something people really kept, not just something they'd say. Families really bow their heads to pray. Daddies really never go away. Whoa, whoa, Grandpa, tell me about those good old days. Grandpa, everything is changing fast. We call it progress, but I just don't know. And Grandpa, take me back into the past and paint me a picture of a long time ago. Did lovers really fall in love to stay? Stand beside each other, come what may. Promise something people really kept, not just something they'd say. Families really bow their heads to pray. Daddies really never go away. Whoa, whoa, Grandma, tell me about those good old days. Whoa, whoa, Grandma, tell me about those good old days. Groundhog's Day came to mind.
But it's leap day and we're ready for lunch now. Thank you so
Good evening, everyone. It is Monday, May 2nd at 5 p.m. This is a regular meeting of the Oregon Village Board, which I'd like to call to order and request roll call, please.
Poole?
Here.
Carpenter?
Here.
Bollig?
Here.
Staton?
Here.
Boudreaux?
Here.
Grenier?
Here.
Brett Howard?
Here. Thank you. Our next item is recognizing Officer of the Year for 2015, the Optimist Award, Cindy Newbert. Officer Newbert, so if you come forward, please. And I would ask Chief Ewell to make a few comments once you get up here.
Well, I'm going to give you a little background. I was contacted by Manager Stair of the Optimist Club for Oregon Brooklyn, and he wanted to present the Officer of the Year Award to our department, and which is something that he's been doing for quite a while through the Optimist Club, it sounds like. So I asked around, and I asked how this award was presented in our department, and it sounded like that the former chief, just made the selection based on whatever his criteria was. And so part of my goal was to bring some recognition to the department, to the officers, and this was one of the big ways to do that. So I asked our officers to elect the Officer of the Year, to select it on their own. I didn't think it was my position to do that. Not only have I not been there that long, but I think it's more prestigious if it comes from them, from their peers. So I put out the award nomination, and Officer Cindy Newbert got that from her peers. So congratulations to her. And I just want to read you some selections that I got from them as to why she was deserving of the award. So some of the selections, it said that I believe that Cindy should receive this award because she continues to work with people and families at very tough, stressful, and crucial times in their lives. That includes working with at-risk juveniles and continues to work with citizens who require mental health needs. Cindy has also always been reliable to pick up the needs of other shifts, contacting subjects, getting information, etc. without questions. Another one wrote, I would nominate Cindy due to her willingness to organize and participate in community events like National Night Out, Safety Camp, Safety Day. She was always willing to go the extra mile and to help out. And another one wrote, I nominate Officer Cindy Newbert for Police Officer of the Year. Officer Newbert takes initiative in her position by searching for grants and securing donations from local businesses and organizations in order to keep our community policing programs going. In 2015, Officer Newbert secured an $8,000 grant through AAA, which was used to purchase a traffic against alert sign. She was never asked by a supervisor to seek this funding, and her main concern was to find funding so that the sign could be purchased to alert drivers to slow down for crosswalks on Jefferson and Alpine Parkway, where there was a safety concern for pedestrians crossing the highway to get to the walking path. Prior to receiving this funding, Officer Newbert spoke with Dane County Sheriff's Office and was able to borrow one of these signs from their department to use by the crosswalk area. Officer Newbert also coordinated the First Kids Get Fitbit in 2015 and spent many of her own hours to assemble this event. Even though the police department doesn't handle this event anymore, it showed the level of dedication that she has for the community. She is consistently a productive employee of the department, and I believe that she represents our core values very well. Officer Newbert recently located the subject who vandalized Lerner Park and numerous other vehicles, businesses in the village of Oregon. She enforces the law, but also tries to encourage suspect victims to utilize services outside our department that could better their situation and provide them with a pertinent contact information. She has also taken an active role in searching for training to assist with concerns affecting the elderly in the village. In 2015, she was an integral part of distributing of the File of Life cards to the seniors in the village of Oregon, along with educating them in the importance of this information being readily available to public safety personnel. These are just a few reasons that Officer Newbert should be considered for Officer of the Year. So those are some nice, kind words by her peers and coworkers at the police department. So with that, I want to recognize Officer Cindy Newbert as Officer of the Year. Also new this year is a pin that she's going to receive to place on your, congratulations, to place on your uniform. It's just a pin that has a star in the middle that signifies Officer of the Year, so congratulations.
Do I have to turn that back next year? Just kidding.
No, but I was actually, I actually thought, okay, who's going to be jealous because nobody else got this in the previous year, so I actually ordered extras just in case. Like, I want one of those.
That is well deserved.
Yeah.
Because you're that
Thanks.
smart.
Congratulations. First time heard that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Congratulations, officer.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Yep.
Congratulations, Cindy. Excuse me.
Congrats. Thanks for all you've done.
Thank you.
So we'll get a picture here for the archives.
Want to shake my hand, or what do you want to do?
Thank you.
Thank you, you guys.
Thanks.
Really appreciate it. And the one thing I want to say is our department is, our new officers are beyond awesome, along with our older officers. And everything we do in Oregon, we can do it with everybody from our department. So very humbled. I feel like everybody in our PD deserves this award because we couldn't do it without the whole team that was there. So thank you.
Yeah, it's clearly a team effort. It's a team effort, and certainly an honor to be recognized by your peers, so congratulations. And I worked with Cindy on some things when I was at the school, and she was always, as the comments said, very people-oriented and working for what's best. So we appreciate that, and thank you. So item 4 comes to us from the April 6th Park Board meeting. Discussion with Andrew Drake regarding donating a park bench and possible action. You want to take this one, Doug, on the recommended motion?
Okay, Mr. Drake came to one of our village board meetings, I believe, and offered to donate funds for the purchase of a park bench in memory of a family member. So the motion would be for the family to work with the Village Public Works Department to select a bench and location with the possibility of the village to pick up some of the cost.
A second.
Thank you. You here to represent that? If you want to make some comments, please.
The agreement, or what we came to was, we'd be looking to donate $1,000 towards the bench, and we're open to whatever the village had for preference on location, and probably a bench that matched the previous benches in the park area. Yeah, we would come up with $1,000 that we'd be looking to donate.
Do you have a park in mind, or?
Yeah, we were hoping the Lerner Park, right off Alpine Park.
Okay.
If possible. We're open.
So are there questions or comments? Jeff, do you have any comments or ideas, sir?
So when you say Lerner Park, you're meaning the one at the walking path around
Correct.
Alpine Park? But
Yep.
yeah, that's Keller Alpine Park.
Well, no, there's a Lerner Park.
Well,
There is a Lerner Park, but the Lerner Park is the one, isn't that the one back in the,
Yeah, Lerner's off Northborough,
Off
and the
of
walking
Northborough.
trail.
Okay, I just wanna make sure,
That's Keller
yeah.
Alpine, so,
I meant Keller Alpine.
yep,
then.
Okay,
yep,
yeah.
just want to make sure
Sorry
about
about
that, but
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we have benches throughout there and
Yeah.
nice spots for it, and I think it'd be a great location.
Yeah, it's a high-use park, so,
Yeah.
okay.
I just have one question. Why? Is it this in your dad's family?
Yeah. My father passed away in December, and there was funds put together for memorial, and he was a dog walker, and he always walked his dogs around the park. So we thought it'd be a nice.
It's a great way to honor your dad.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
Very
thank you.
Great idea.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You're all set?
Awesome.
Thank you. We'll look
Thank you.
forward to
Thank
the
you.
installation of the bench.
Sounds good. Do I work with Gary then?
You'll work with myself or
Okay.
Gary,
Yeah.
yeah, we
Okay.
can, and work on kind of some lettering and colors and design, whatever.
Awesome.
So,
Cool. Sounds good.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks. You too.
Item 5, discussion of possible action regarding approving of Robert Seidner as an adult day program substitute at the senior center. Comments here, Allison?
He's a great candidate, and we're anxious to have him start whenever he's needed, and he has a really good background, and we're excited to have him on our team.
Okay. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, discussion regarding hotel project and possible action.
So Steve, Matt's gonna give the board an update on the
Okay.
hotel, and then we'll need to go into closed session for this in the next
Yeah.
couple items.
Yeah, so we have 3 things coming up here, item 6, 7, and 8, for quick discussion here, and
Yep.
then the closed session.
Matt's gonna do the hotel, Jim Mann's gonna do a little update on the TIF analysis for Sanctuary, and then we'll talk about the bowling alley, and then
Okay.
we'll go into closed session for for some direction from the board
Okay.
on all three of them.
Matt, you're up, welcome.
Thank you. So on the hotel, we did forward to Eric Lund the outline of potential terms of development agreement.
That's in your packet.
Yeah.
I think the board has seen, or at least discussed. I believe that Mr. Lund is reviewing and working on that, including with his business partners or associates and his lender. I did talk to his lender this morning. I think some of the details that we need to continue to work on are things I think we should discuss in closed session.
Okay. So we'll go on, any quick questions here, or wait to close session, all right? Okay. Go on to item 7, discussion regarding the sanctuary project, initial TIF analysis and possible action. Welcome, Jim, it's always good to see you. This is the property that used to have the Methodist Church. It's on Main Street.
Good evening. We're actually working on the TIF analysis for the sanctuary development, and we've been working with the developer. We've been exchanging some information. In fact, we got a fair amount of information late last week or middle of last week in terms of being able to start the process to look at the kind of rate of return, internal rate of return and cash on cash benefit that the development would receive in light of requests to have some TIF assistance. It's anticipated that the development would have a value of about $4.6 million and would generate somewhere around $100,000 of tax increments a year. And they have a specific dollar that they have requested at this point that they expect to be paid over time. So they're not asking for the dollars up front. So it's going to be up to the board to decide the level of contribution that you're going to make and the terms of that contribution and what kind of time frame you're looking at ultimately. And again, that's probably a discussion for closed session to really get into the weeds on that one.
Okay. So that's a general overview, and because this will be negotiations, we'll be doing this in closed session, so just a few minutes. Okay, we'll go on to item 8, discussion regarding bowling alley appraisal report and possible action. And the entire appraisal report is available in the village administrator's office.
So Steve, I sent Jack, the owner of the bowling alley, a copy of the entire report. And I told him that we'd be talking to the board tonight and that I would be contacting him after our discussion. Just for people that are watching the meeting or are curious, the appraisal came back at $305,000 in value for the bowling alley at this point. So.
Okay, thank you. So we'll go to item 9. The village board will adjourn into closed session during the meeting pursuant to Wisconsin statute, section 19.851E, to discuss the possible use of tax increment financing in TIF number 4 for the hotel project, and TIF number 3 for sanctuary project, and possible bowling alley acquisition.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Carpenter? Yes. Brett Howard?
Yes?
Grenier?
Yes.
Bollig?
Yes.
Poole?
Yes.
Boudreaux?
Yes.
Staton?
Yes, thank you. So we'll go across the hall.
Yeah.
right? Okay.
We will.
So if folks can stay here, we're going to go across the hall for a closed session.
Makes you feel any better.
No, it doesn't.
Good evening, everyone. We are back in order. This is a meeting of the Oregon Village Board. We're just in closed session, talking about our hotel project, the sanctuary project, and the bowling alley. There's no new news to report this time, except staff will be in touch with some of the people involved with that. So those are ongoing. Item 11 is public appearances. Item A, discussion with Village Financial Advisor Jim Mann and possible action regarding, first of all, review of 2016 borrowing. Do you want me to read all these, or do them one at a time?
Why don't you just read them, and then Jim will come up to the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first is 2016 borrowing, then 2016 resolution number 16-12, providing for the sale of $2,080,000 general obligation promissory notes, series 2016A.
Is it disclosed wrong in the agenda, or is it 16-11?
It's 16-12.
Yeah. It was the wrong
I'm
number.
sorry,
on
I
the-
got a note to change that, and
Got
I did.
it.
I just didn't tell you guys I did that, so I didn't think anybody'd catch that. Item 3, initial review of possible 2017 borrowing. Item 4, updating financial plan and future debt service, including borrowing for the civic campus plan buildings and possibly using a rural development loan for municipal buildings. Item 5, closing TIF number 2 in 2017. And item 6, creating overlay districts for TIF number 3 and TIF number 4. So welcome, Jim, and you're on for all of those.
I'm around for all of them. I'll let Mike tee a couple of them up as we get to them. But you have on, the first item on the agenda is borrowing for the 2016 capital projects plan, a little over $2 million. If you looked at the packet that we had included in your materials, on page 2, there was a full description of all the projects that are being included, varying from streets, parks, some equipment purchases, police and fire equipment, public works equipment, economic development grants, some water and sewer work, as well as some projects in TIDS number 3 and 4. Amounts to just over $2 million. When you put together the capital items as well as the issuance costs, we end up with a bond size of about $2,080,000. We have a couple of different options that we put together, and this basically starts to bring in some of the other discussions about what's going to happen in future years. But on pages 3 and 4, we put together two different looks at what the debt service might look at or look like going forward and what the impact would be. And I'll just kind of walk you across those pages. You've got your equalized value, your current, which is the value of the community outside of the tax increment districts, your current debt obligations, principal and interest, your non-levy revenues, those are revenues that are coming from either the utilities or the tax increment districts. So you end up with a net levy for debt. In 2016, that net levy for debt was just over $1 million, $1,011,800. Your tax rate for debt was $1.14. So that's basically your benchmark. That's where we're starting. If you did nothing, you said we're not going to borrow any money this year, that would drop to about 87 cents next year, or about a $775,000 levy. So then we look at a couple of options in terms of an amortization structure of the 2016 series. And we're looking at it from the perspective, and I know the next item has to do with the 2017 borrowing. We're not including any dollars for that at this point, but we do have a series of projects that are out there. And that's why you'll see in that 2017 year that you see a higher than normal principal payment. In this first option, it's $380,000, and then those payments drop down to $150,000 or $200,000. Part of it's going to be offset by water and sewer revenues and tax increment revenues. What that $380,000 would do would put your debt service levy that falls back to the taxpayers at about $1,077,000. So you'd be at about $1.21, which would be about a 7-cent increase. And the reason we're showing that is because we know you've got projects in 2017 that you're going to need to go out and borrow for. And I think you've probably heard the discussion before that when you're setting your amortization schedule up and you're looking at the big picture in terms of what you have to levy for debt service, you want to be riding the top of the wave. You don't want to push that wave out into the future, because then every debt issue just builds on top of it. So you really almost want to be in a position where your highest levy year is going to be the first year after you issue the debt. And so that's what we've done in terms of this structure, is show that we're going to maintain that $1 million+ levy in anticipation that we've still got additional borrowing that's going to be done in 2017. And then on top of that, you're in the planning phases talking about the civic campus and what you're going to do with municipal buildings. And that's going to be a big ticket item, and there's going to be some rather significant impacts in terms of looking at those projects as how they pertain. And that gets into that next piece after the 2017 look about updating the capital finance plan, where we're looking out at multiple years and really trying to map out the direction that we're going. We're using the information that we have today, knowing what the 16 borrowing looks like, and have a pretty good idea of what's going to be in store for 2017, and trying to build in those basically step downs, so that as you get to those projects, you're able to issue the additional debt and layer it in without necessarily having to spike your overall debt payments up from year to year. Manages it for the taxpayer so that the overall burden from year to year isn't spiking. And that's what we've looked at. We talked about a certain amount, whether we do this over a 10-year period or over a 20-year period. It's been the village's pretty long-standing practice to try to do their debt within 10 years. And so, based upon the level that we were talking about here, recognizing that you have the civic campus projects that are going to come down the pike in several years, those are probably going to be financed over a longer period of time. You're going to probably look, because those are buildings that are going to be here for much longer than 20 years, you'll probably look to finance those over a 20-year period. So that's option one. Option two just modifies the first year down a little bit so that the impact to the taxpayer is basically level. We knock about $50,000 out of the principal payment in that first year, and we end up with a levy for 2017 about $1,023,000. Now, you're still at the front end of the wave, and you still got drops where you can absorb additional debt, just not quite as much. The cost of doing that is actually relatively small. It's about $9,000 by pushing $50,000 principal out into a future year. It certainly takes the burden off that first year's levy if you were to look at the second option. It also takes into consideration when the old adage, when rates are low, borrow as much as you can for as long as you can. And when rates are high, you borrow as little as for short. So in this case, we're still sticking with the 10-year structure, but we're pushing some of that principal out into later years so that we're taking advantage that interest rates are remarkably low. If we were out in the marketplace today, I would anticipate you'd get better interest rates than what is even shown on this page. Municipal bond rates right now are remarkably low. We've seen 10-year money go out at less than 2%. This blended rate would be about $1.75. We've seen it in the $1.40 to $1.50 range for a community that's rated similarly to you. So money's very cheap. And it's not to say go out and borrow money that you don't need, but when you have to borrow, you sure appreciate it when the interest rates are this low. We threw a third option in just to show what it would look like in the event that you said, we don't want to go out to the open market, we don't want to deal with all those costs, we're going to go to the state trust fund. You could go to the state trust fund and you wouldn't have to have the issuance costs, but you would also increase your interest cost by almost double, because the state's investment or borrowing rate for 10 years is 3% right now, and you'd be borrowing money probably around $1.75 on these rates, or if we were actually in the market today, probably about $1.50 or 1.5%. So we threw that in as a comparison just so you could see what it looked like. And I guess I'm willing to answer any questions, but we're looking a little direction in terms of option one or option two. I think either one could work for the village. Option one probably gives you greater flexibility going into some future years where you've got some larger borrowings. But option two protects the taxpayer for another year.
What do you mean by that, Jim?
Well, the impact becomes quite as burdensome. I mean, the fact of the matter is you're layering the new debt on top of the old debt without showing any impact, basically, if you use option 2. Whereas if we use option 1, we're anticipating we're gonna jump up to that $1,077,000. We're probably gonna stay there with the new debt that you're gonna issue in 2017, and then as you get to the civic campus.
So knowing that we're probably going to be borrowing for more needs in the short term and going out, which do you think is more beneficial for the taxpayer, option 1 or option 2?
If the board is comfortable with increasing the levy by that $70,000 and increasing the mill rate roughly 7 cents for debt only, I would say option 1 would be your better choice, because you're gonna be stepping into some of those increases. That civic campus and the magnitude of projects that you're looking at is going to have an impact. And you're essentially building into what that impact is going to be.
Which will lessen the impact for the taxpayer.
At that time. Yeah.
When you say lessen the impact for the taxpayer, you mean just when we get to the borrowing for the civic campus?
You're not gonna get a spike.
We won't need to borrow as much.
No, you're gonna have to borrow the same amount for the projects. It's just that the debt levy will already be elevated to the point where you're not having to spike the levy in a given year.
Okay.
That spike will be lessened, and the goal is to try to smooth it out to a certain extent. Because the last thing taxpayers want, and I'm a taxpayer in my community, and I don't like wild swings in my tax bill.
No.
I like a rather linear look to my tax bill, but I recognize that sometimes you can't. It is what it is.
And that's correct, especially if you're escrowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be short.
Do you think that $1.14 to $1.21 is a significant enough spike in a tax bill to make someone question what we're doing?
Probably not. Because when you look at that 7 cents on a $225,000 home value today, it amounts to about $17, $16.
What's your opinion on the 7 cents, Mike?
Sometimes I have a hard time because you're looking at one thing versus the whole budget. But that's all you can do tonight is look at what we're borrowing. But we've been keeping the increase between $20, $25, $30, $35 for an average house.
For the whole budget.
And I mean, Ellers has always used the approach of feathering the debt. That's what Jim's talking about, that you start to build up the base a little bit, and you see that we've got debt falling off. So besides building in a little bit of an increase, then you've got debt falling off, probably about when the civic campus plan borrowing will hit. So we'll get the benefit of both if you do option 1.
And we don't know what's going to happen with the rest of the budget. That 7
right.
cents may disappear somewhere else.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, the board could direct us to cover that. But I think at some point you want to start getting the and Renee used to talk about this too, about getting the levy up a little bit for when you're using different revenue sources to keep the levy down for debt service. At some point you run out of those things, and then you get that spike. And Jim is correct. You want to get people mad at you. That's the worst thing. And so this allows you to sort of start to blend it in, because we are going to be borrowing money for the buildings.
Okay, so you're okay with this?
I am. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
So you want a motion on this?
I think Jim will need that, yeah.
Yep, for the option 1.
Yep.
Well, I'll make the motion to direct Ellers to go with option 1 then.
And I'll second that.
Okay, now that sounds like the way to go.
Just a quick question. Okay, what's the difference then between option 1 and option 2? How much would it be then for option 2 to go up?
Option 1 actually costs overall, from a debt service perspective, about $9,000 less than option 2. The upfront impact of option 1 has the impact of another 6 cents on the tax rate, based upon our knowledge of where your value is in the first year.
Okay, thank you.
And it's only the first year. It's not 6 cents every year.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We're on to item 2, resolution number 16-12 for the sale of $2,080,000 general obligation promissory notes, series 2016A.
Is this an action item? Or is this for discussion?
It's an action item, and I'll wait for a motion, or Elizabeth.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
So,
you.
I just want to mention that, if I go back to the sheet that we had, that Lisa and I provided this one here I'm looking at. I mean, some of these numbers are good because we did reimbursement resolutions. Some of the numbers are going to change, so this resolution you're approving is going to change a little bit. We're getting the bids in on Elm and South Main, that could change this, just so you know. Which is okay, we talked to Jim about that, so.
Okay.
Basically, you're telling Jim and our bond counsel to start the process to prepare the documents. Okay. Is that correct, Jim?
Yep, that is correct.
And we'll just plug the number in at the very end.
At the end.
What we're gonna
Right,
borrow.
yep, once we get the bids in for the,
Yeah.
yep.
So it could be less, it wouldn't be more. Is that accurate?
Either or.
I didn't look directly at the resolution, but the resolution may be written that it's a not to exceed $2,080,000.
It says an approximate amount of
Okay,
two.
that
yeah.
gives us flexibility
Okay.
then to
Yeah.
go up or down.
Yeah.
And I mean, if for some reason we get really bad bids on the street projects, we're gonna be talking to the board about
Yeah.
that, and it will,
Okay, so it'll be in that ballpark.
yeah,
Okay,
Probably
that's all you
save
know.
money on a new public works or.
something like that. We'll figure a way, okay?
We'll sell his truck.
Sell his truck, that's true, yeah.
So we have the motion second on resolution number 16-12. Please note again the change of number there. Are there any further questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 3, initial review of the 2017 borrowing.
This was just a way for us to show, or demonstrate to the board some of the projects we may do in 2017. This is still a very rough list. I just want you to know that the two big projects would be the Park Street reconstruction, over $1 million, as well as the Perry Parkway connection. So those could be two large projects. And also, we're talking about doing the reconstruction of North Baroque from Jefferson to Baffish Creek, and also doing Highway CC with the county. So it'd be some significant street projects next year, as well as this year, so.
So the Perry Parkway goes from the ice arena to
Park Street.
Park Street, going
yeah,
south.
I forget the name of that street.
Yep.
Yeah, so that gets that street through, so.
Mhm.
Is that gonna connect with Perry Parkway on the other side of the green space? Okay,
It's, kind of falls in an S pattern.
right,
You'll fit over there.
right.
Okay.
But that also requires us moving the yard waste site, which is,
Yeah.
Does the zero mean it's been done, the engineering is complete?
That's 2017, so that by then we'll be actually out to bid and under a different portion of the project at that point.
Is the West Side Park, are those the ball fields? What's West Side Park? I can't remember.
the West Side Park is what the park board's working on. It's the park that's along North Alpine Parkway that has corn on it right now. It's
Okay.
the board hired JSD to do some preliminary work with the park board, and I think they're probably, Doug, you think they're about maybe 80% done with that analysis?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Something like that, yeah. They'll be coming to the board at some point.
Okay.
Anything else in that item? Yes, item 4, updating financial plan and future debt service, including borrowing for the civic campus plan buildings and possibly using a rural development loan for municipal buildings.
Jim reminded me and Lisa today that we actually approved this back in December of last year, and that's what I put in the packet. So we will start working on it. And obviously, one of the big numbers will be, what does the board decide on the sequencing of the civic campus plan, so that should be. So I think, Jim, we can work on some of this, but we're not going to probably have all of it done until probably midsummer into summer, so.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Item 5, closing TIF number 2 in 2017.
We thought we were going to be able to close it in this year, but it's going to be next year. I just wanted the board to be aware of that.
Okay.
And Ehlers will help us do that.
Okay. Then item 6, creating overlay districts for TIF 3 and TIF 4.
It appears, because of the projects that we're looking at, that we're probably going to do that. for both districts, and we may end up doing them together. It may be cost-effective to do that, I think. Yeah, Jim's going, yeah. So when we get to that point with that, we'll bring that to the board with a proposal from Ellers to help us do that. So we'll need a little bit of help from Matt, too.
So now these TIF 3 and 4, where are they
So
located?
TIF 3 is downtown. TIF 4 is where the hotel would go.
Okay, I just wanted, so the audience would
Yep.
know that too.
Thanks for asking.
Okay.
Okay, does that take care of item 11?
I think Jim's done it. If you have any questions for him.
Nope. Thank you.
Thanks,
All right.
Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Appreciate it. Good to see you. Okay, item 12 is approval of minutes. Item A, June 1st, 2015 meeting. Item B, the special joint meeting with Village of Brooklyn, Towns of Oregon, Dunn and Rutland, and Oregon Area Fire EMS District from July 22nd, 2015. And item C, the special reorganizational meeting from April 25th, 2016. So we can take a motion and a second for all three of those, please.
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Any additions or corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. But item 13, approval of vouchers. We have vouchers tonight in the amount of $791,578.57 for approval.
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Questions?
I have questions, just for clarification. On page 74, what is the description iPad Minis Polaroid Tabletop Studio Kit from B&H Photo? Square table tripod mount.
What?
May I respond? That was actually part of a grant, that the library received, through the, Beyond the Page and Dane County. So we actually were given the money for that, so it's passing through in a sense.
Okay.
So it's a project that we're doing where, we're having, a sort of a mini film festival that allows teens to create sort of like a book review video, and then they're going to have their own film fest. And so this kit that was put together, these are the items for the kit, and then it will not only be in Oregon but in a number of different libraries, and it's going to be a really cool project, so I'd stay tuned.
Thanks, Nikki.
Other questions on vouchers? So we have a motion second to approve our vouchers tonight in the amount of $791,578.57. Roll call, please.
Boudreaux?
Yes.
Poole?
Yes.
Carpenter?
Yes.
Brethauer?
Yes.
Pollock?
Yes.
Staton?
Yes.
Grenier?
I abstain.
Thank you. That motion is approved. Item 14 is community input. This is a chance for public to provide information to the village board. Anyone who'd like to address the board tonight, please come forward. If you've seen on the agenda, there's an explanation there that the board cannot discuss the item with you, but you present your information, and we can ask questions for clarification, and if need be, it can go to a future agenda for a committee or back to the board.
Okay.
So,
I've never been to one of these meetings before.
okay,
I've
you're fine.
never-
Just have a seat, take a deep breath, breathe
So my
comfortably.
apologies, and I hope I don't violate any rules.
If you do, you'll be in trouble, so be ready.
Okay.
No, just tell us what you want to tell us, and we'll go from
Okay.
there, okay? You're fine. Thank
My
you.
name's Danette Pyer. I'm sorry, Jeff, you did
Oh,
call
yes.
me, so I'm here, and I'm going to discuss what I talked to somebody that got referred to you. Anyways, I live on Haler Court, and I appreciate the fact that the village made a decision to come and repave our road last year, the year before, or something like that. But it didn't exactly meet with the approval of those of us that live on Haler Court. What happened is that somebody, I presume from the village, came and put signs up all around in our yard saying no parking, and I called and found out that there is a procedure, I think, called milling, is that correct? Where you come and chew up the road, and that you were gonna do that. But the number one thing that we needed in the area was drainage. And the village is very, very good. I must commend you on the fact that Little Haler Court gets cleaned out before Soden and any other streets around the area. But when the guy comes and cleans, he dumps the snow at the end of Haler Court in Plummer's yard, and kind of between me and Plummer's, and also down at the corner. And what we really truly need is drainage, because water comes from where Oak Street is, comes to my backyard, goes between me and Plummer's right at the end of the court. And also they put the snow down by the stop sign at the corner of Haler Court and Soden. And there's always standing water down there, or there's ice down there in the wintertime. And it would have been nice if, before you make decisions that are gonna, for improving roads, I mean, I think all of us on Haler Court would have been more than willing to say, wait 10 years if you can come up with the money to do the job and do it the way we think would have been right by putting drainage in, and then do the road. It would have been nice. I know that our manhole cover caved in and you had to come and fix that, and so the road looked kind of crummy, but I think we all would have appreciated having the drainage. I know that I've seen plumbers trying to get the water away from their front door. It doesn't impact me as much as it does some of the other neighbors, but I have to speak out on their behalf. And I know it's a problem at both ends of the court. And so I just wanted to say something about that. We appreciate having the new paving, but before you go and make decisions, it would be nice to come to us as the people who live there to find out, is there something that you need? You know, we're thinking about doing this, and we're thinking about you guys, but we'd like to get input from you as members of the community who live here. So if you're planning any road projects, you might want to go to the people who live there and find out, you know, do you need drainage? Where do you need drainage? What are the things that are going on there before you come and just do a project? We had no clue that you were even coming in or what you were doing. So we would appreciate that in the future, and that's what I wanted to discuss with you, Jeff. Okay. Then there's one thing, and I don't know if this has been addressed, but when I moved here, and ever since I've lived here, I have been buying water to drink because the water was so chlorinated. And I haven't even ventured to see if it tastes any different, but I think it tasted terrible 15 years ago when I moved here. And if the same procedures are being used to purify water, I feel that it's probably quite toxic for humans to be drinking. So I don't know if any change in water purification has taken place, but if not, I would appreciate if you'd think about doing something about that in the future. The third item that I wanted to talk about, I really didn't understand quite what the guy was talking about who was here right before me, but I think part of what he was referring to is this third item that I wanted to say something about. Before you as members of the board go through with allowing groups or businesses to come in and do projects, it's my understanding maybe the sanctuary thing, I'm not quite sure if that's what the guy was talking about, but I feel that the public, the neighbors, the neighborhood deserves to have information about what groups, you know, like some business that wants to come in and do a project. It's my understanding that where this Methodist church is up here, that they're thinking about putting like another nursing home or assisted living center in, and I feel that the people who live in that area and in the surrounding area deserve to know and be informed about what the village, or what is being proposed to the village board, and for us to have some input and for the board to consider our input as to whether it is appropriate in the location and the impact that it's going to have on the neighbors who live around there. I do not live right next to where the Methodist church is, but I feel for the people who do live there, and I do not think it is appropriate. And I feel that we, as members of the community, should have some say-so without the board just making independent decisions with some business adventure that somebody comes in here. Because I think you will find that people that live around that area are going to be very opposed to this assisted living center going in there. And even though I don't live right there, I can tell you right now that I would be opposed to it as well. And I think that you have to be sensitive to how people feel in the community, because I think it reflects upon you. It also reflects upon how we are going to vote in the future, whether we feel that you deserve to be in the position that you're in. And I don't really have anything else to say, but I think that this is a subject that I think you need to go out to the public, to the people, and find out whether they think it's appropriate or not, rather than this. If that's what this gentleman was here about, I didn't understand. I'm sorry, I just don't understand all the terminology that he was speaking about. But people can't always get to board meetings like this in order to voice their opinion. And I was able to come, and I felt it was important enough to come and say what I thought.
Good. We appreciate that, and you did a good job.
Okay. I think that's all that I really...
So, can make a point of...
Yeah.
So, the gentleman that you were listening to, he's our financial advisor, he's not the developer. The developer is a different gentleman. So, when we met with the developer months ago, the very first thing he did was have a neighborhood meeting.
Oh.
This Thursday, we're having a public hearing. The neighborhood got notice, and at 6:30 in front of the planning commission, the project's going to be considered by the planning commission. Trustee Carpenter sits on the planning commission. In between time, I just got an email from the developer. He had another neighborhood meeting just recently. So he's had 2 meetings, plus there's a public hearing on Thursday.
So is it only the people that live like right on that block then?
I think it's 200 feet out from the property line.
From all portions of the property.
Right. But it's a public hearing. Anybody can come to the meeting.
So this is on Thursday?
Thursday at 6:30 in this room.
I can't come to it.
And then the planning commission will make a recommendation to the village board, probably to the May 16th board meeting, the next board meeting, 2 weeks from tonight.
May 16th?
Yep.
Board meeting?
Yep.
And so you'll discuss things then?
There could be a recommendation possibly coming from planning commission to the board on the 16th.
Okay.
Possibly.
So, is the property there, like, I don't understand a lot of, how village stuff works, but is there like zoning, like it's zoned for certain use or something?
That's what the hearing's about on Thursday.
Oh.
It's a public hearing for zoning.
And so are you just going to discuss what that is, or is it zoned for particular use right now?
It has, I gotta be careful how much I talk about this. So it has a basic zoning, and they're coming in and asking it's called a general development plan to develop the property through another layer of zoning called planned development, if that makes sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
But that's what the hearing's for. They're looking at a change in zoning for the property through the planning commission Thursday night.
Okay.
Yep.
But there won't be any decisions on Thursday?
The planning commission is a recommending body to the village board.
Okay.
So then it would come back to the board at some future meeting, maybe May 16th, it's possible, or they could delay the vote.
Okay. All right.
And Jeannie Carpenter, trustee right there, is on the plan commission, so she's heard what you've had to say.
Okay. Because, I mean, I'm not within that 200 feet or
Right.
whatever, but
You're
I
still welcome.
Yeah, you can still come to the meeting Thursday night.
It's an open meeting.
Yep.
If you can't, you
play in
can't.
the
but-
Stoughton Community Band.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'll be at band practice, I'm sorry. All right.
Okay.
That's all I had to say.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to address the board tonight? Okay. We will then go to item 15, proclamations and announcements. Item A, board comments. Long one to read here. So you probably all saw the letter in the Observer about street work, and this is in response to that, again, trying to clarify some of the street stuff. Give me a reminder to village residents that Main Street, Janesville Street, and Jefferson Street Highway CC are owned by Dane County and not the village. The village is working on a plan that would transfer the ownership of these streets to the village after Dane County repairs them. It is anticipated that Jefferson Street will be repaired from the railroad bridge to Ash Street in 2017. Also, as discussed at the April 11th board meeting, the village spent over $2 million on street improvements from 2011 to 2015, and we anticipate spending an additional $900,000 in 2016. Furthermore, the board's commitment to maintaining village streets, which includes replacement and upgrades to water and sewer utilities, will be demonstrated when the board reviews and adopts the village's 2017-2021 capital improvement plan this summer. Residents with questions and/or concerns about streets should always feel free to contact Village Administrator Mike Grace and Director of Public Works Jeff Rao. I've asked village staff to put my statement on the village's webpage and Facebook page, so. Any comments on that? That sound all right? Just clarification again.
Sounds good, but can I ask a question?
You sure can.
To follow up on this? I know I saw the letter to the editor. One of the comments, was it South or East or North Main? Was that listed?
Yes.
As a comment? I'm just curious, when did the county do that? Does anybody remember? And how long the road is supposed to last before it gets in the shape that apparently they think it's in? I mean, is this on schedule, for that, or is this street failing sooner?
Well, that goes back to the whole discussion that when Mark was here, he wanted the county to do more of the improvement under the surface.
Right.
And I believe they didn't do that, so
Okay.
that's what's happening, it's breaking down.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
And
was
so,
03, wasn't it? 2003.
yeah, we did them in phases, like we're gonna
Right.
do this. And so that's why when we did the improvements down on Janesville Street and Wolf,
Yep.
we dug out the muck. Mark was telling you that story. There was a
Right.
footprint down in the muck they actually found. And so you'll see actually did see the agreement that we proposed between us and the county. Jeff will have to approve, the street projects along with the county. So when we have a soft spot, that's gonna get addressed in the future so that we can prevent, we wanna prevent it because we're gonna be taking ownership of the street.
Right, I'm just
Yeah.
curious what, it
So-
looks like these streets have been, that section up there has been repaired quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, I agree,
And-
right.
I mean,
But I think Steve's right. I think it was 2003. I think it was 03 because we went 03, 04, and 05. We went and did Janesville. Yeah, so it's been, but that patch was done, I think, last year. So yeah.
Which, the concrete patch?
Yeah.
And that was redone, that was the first concrete patch, and then was actually done last fall, where they pulled the old concrete out, or the concrete. The concrete went in, I think, during one of the coldest days of the winter when that had a problem, and so that obviously the concrete quality was not of the best. But Dane County came in and did repair that with, actually, they did a nice job this last fall.
well, I know, I'm just saying, but they could say, so it's 13,
but you're
14
right.
years, is the street
If you
supposed
build
to last better than that?
if you build upon a soft foundation, it will fail quicker than if you obviously build on a very good foundation. And that's why, kind of furthermore from the experience we have down at Wolf Street, and then when we were looking at Jefferson Street, taking a look at that and saying we really want to see what's in the soils, what came back is there's a lot of muck out there. And so those kind of this stepwise process through this, and that's kind of why things are kind of where they are schedule-wise with some of these Dane County transfers.
Because I know she made a comment about the manholes are sinking or something too. I mean, is that something that needs to be fixed as soon as possible, or is that not going to cause problem?
It's not on my radar right now, I think, but.
We can, you know, we, when we see a problem with there, we contact the county and say, hey, there's, you know, but actually, they're pretty good. Like, I don't know if you noticed, they were doing some potholes on Jefferson Street a couple weeks ago. But when we see a problem, we'll contact them and say, you know, take a look at this section, and so we could certainly bring it to their
And the
attention.
county's been very good at responding
Mhm.
to that,
Yeah.
so.
I think the focus here is, we don't own the streets. I know people,
Right.
I know you know, people are very frustrated when you tell them that, but, you know, we can't be spending village tax dollars on county streets, not until we take the roads over.
Well, that's why my concern is, when we do take that street over, you know, since the county just did the work 13 years ago, are they gonna come in and do the work again before we take
But-
the street over?
But that's what that agreement's all
I
about.
know, I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. We're not taking a street
We tightened
over.
that up a lot.
Yeah,
Trying
and
to
that's
figure
why
ourselves.
it's taken so long negotiating with them, because we're not taking, it started when Mark was there, so Mark said, we're not taking a street over that's gonna fail in 5 years. That, you know, it's, I mean, I think the goal is to take a street over, have it go out, maybe you have to do what, crack filling maybe in 8-9 years?
8-9 years,
Maybe
and
do a mill and overlay, as, you know, being discussed before at some point, but not complete reconstruction. That'd be bad.
I think to answer Eric's question, I think the intent of the negotiation is to alleviate that ever happening again.
Okay.
And when that street gets transferred to the village, it will be in the 15 to 20-year range when we take it over. So, and I know that's his concern.
Yeah.
We're paying off the debt before we fix the street project, fix it again. How about that? That's always a goal.
It's a good thing.
That's a goal.
But this, you know, and going, moving forward, after we take it over, the village will be in, and the village staff will be in total control of how our streets look. And so won't be in the uncomfortable position of having to tell a taxpayer or resident, I should say, that, hey,
I
it's
know.
not our street.
I
No,
know.
it will be our street.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll have to take responsibility for it at that time.
Any other board comments?
Could be a while before it's all done.
Yeah,
17, 18, 19, could be 2020 before, yeah.
yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Any other board comments? We'll then go to item 15B, staff comments. Number 1, Mr. Rao, please.
Yeah, actually, kind of fun to comment about this or provide update on this, is we've kind of followed through with the option of installing 2 sets of rapidly flashing beacon at 2 crosswalks within the village. We worked with a study last fall with an engineer, and then have come together with the school district. The school district actually has funded half of the one at the RCI. If you're out there either on South Prairie Parkway at RCI, there's one right at that crossway that goes into the Windward-Leeward Street area. And then we have the other one, which is located on County Highway CC/Jefferson out at Alpine Parkway. I went out and kind of tried them the other day. I actually watched the school kids crossing for about 35, 40 minutes, and the ones that used it, was 100% effective, which was really nice to be able to see. And I also was able to use it down on Alpine Parkway, and worked great. So hopefully, this is kind of an effort to try to improve safety. Not that there was necessarily a problem, but these have shown to be very effective. And hopefully, once people start using them and appreciating them, and the drivers start responding, we can look at other locations within the village that might be some wise opportunities for those.
Good, thank you.
Have we got any more of those budgeted, Jeff? You know,
We didn't have these budgeted.
these were grant, right?
Well, no, we actually borrowed, this started as a request from the school district to the police, just because of concern for, especially this crossing at RCI. And that's when we looked at it and we said, you know, we identified actually 5 locations in the village that we were considered high priority. Our engineer evaluated those, agreed that those were high priority and viable locations. And that's when we decided to go ahead and do the borrowing resolution. So we're actually borrowing for those to pay us back in our budget. But I would like to see, and now we'll have to see where budgets go, but I would like to see us trying to put 1 or 2 of these in a year. They're about, I think it's $7,000 or $8,000 a piece.
Approximately.
The nice thing is they're very simple foundations. Our public works staff assembled everything and installed everything. We did not have to work with an outside contractor or anything. They're all solar powered, everything's self-contained, so it's actually a very, very clean installation. and very efficient installation. So we'll continue to put them in the budget, and we'll see what side of the X they fall on.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Item 2, upcoming meetings, Mr. Grace.
So next week, Monday is the finance meeting at 5, and then around 5:30 will be the Public Works meeting, talking about the special assessment. And May 16th is the Ash Street Public Forum at the board meeting, and then board review on the 23rd.
Can you remind me what board of review is, Mike?
Peggy, our expert.
Board of Review is a chance where property owners can come in and they can challenge their assessment.
So it's
They do
open
have-
book? No?
It's not open book. Open book is when, Board of Review is under oath. So you have to have, you're sworn in, you have to have, viable information that would prove that you should have your assessment changed. Open book is when someone can come in and just talk to the assessor. They're not sworn in, it's more of a conversational type thing. So you start with open book and then it proceeds to Board of Review, which is more formal.
And by appointment, right, Peggy?
Yes.
You'd have an appointment to be at board review.
So the meeting will be with the assessor, not with the village board?
No?
No, there's
No.
people on the board review.
Yeah.
I'm on it,
Jerry.
Eric's on it, Jerry's on it.
And Darlene.
The assessors,
And Peggy.
the assessor's there as this consultant, staff person, yeah, staffs the meeting.
Yeah, so if somebody's not happy after open book discussion with the assessor, then they can make the appointment to go to board of review.
I would also say that Lee works with homeowners right up until Board of Review.
Yeah.
So if they can come to a compromise prior to Board of Review, we try to, so.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else from staff?
Yep.
Okay. Item 16, communication and miscellaneous business. Item A, discussion of providing free fill located in the West Side Community Park to Brad Willie for his project and possible board action. And park board members discussed this issue at the April 6th meeting. So do you want to give us any update here, Doug?
I don't have any update for this.
Okay.
So my understanding, Doug, this was discussed and the park board didn't have a problem with seeing if Brad could use the fill, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
So did you want to bring that forward as a motion, or do you want somebody to bring that forward as a motion?
So up to you.
So I'll make the motion.
I'll second it for discussion. So,
Is this noticed for action? Oh, yeah, possible board action, sorry.
Yep.
The fill is located literally across the street.
well, it's those big piles.
Yep.
Right next to, it's
Yep.
kind of turned into a little bit of a dump spot
Yep.
for some stuff. And I think the idea of originally was that soil could possibly be used up in the West Side Park area, and it still might. But I think it'd be to our benefit in the village just to kind of start moving that out of there. And I
How
don't
many
know.
yards of topsoil does Brad need?
No, it's not top, I mean, it's fill, it's topsoil, it's gonna be depending on what he and his engineers can take a look at the soil we have and
See if it's workable for
usable. I
him.
mean, it's not granular fill, it's not that
Okay.
type of fill, but we're talking about having to bring that entire site, or Brad's been talking about having to bring that site up anywhere from 2 to 5 feet, depending on, when we talk to him and stuff, so it's just been kind of all over the board.
So you don't see any use for village use of that?
Well,
There's a big pile of,
We were stockpiling it to do, going back to Jeannie's question about that park that Jeannie was asking about. But what, I think, right, Jeff, what we're gonna do as far as probably grading, what we have there is probably a drop in the
Yes,
bucket. So
exactly.
we thought, I forgot actually who thought, was this Gary's idea? Who thought of this good idea? I thought it was a good idea to
you
help
guys say it's a
Brad
good
out.
idea, it was our idea.
It was Jeff's idea. But, I mean, we just saw another way to help Brad on his project.
so this is a staff recommendation
It is,
also?
Yes.
yep. The
Okay.
park board agreed with it because it's,
Yes.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I think Jeff agreed with his nonverbals there. If we can get rid of the whole thing, that'd be good. It's a nice park area, the big pile of
Yeah.
dirt there. So
And we're getting
I'd love
complaints
to see
about
that go and
weeds.
get a shelter in there.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So
it helps everybody out if we can get
Yeah.
rid of it. Helps Brad out
help
and
Brad
we,
get his business going.
Nice over there.
Want him here.
Sounds good.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item B, follow-up to Downtown Civic Campus Plan Community Workshop.
I just put it on in case somebody wanted to make a comment, it's just on there for a.
I thought it was a very good exercise. I really did.
Really well attended. And
Yeah.
it speaks well for the community to have that number of
It was-
people and the diversity of people that showed up and their hard work. It was good. Great.
So, then we'll be trying to nail down Mike Slavny exactly when he thinks he's gonna have his report done, and we'll talk to him next week at the staff meeting.
It'd be interesting to see what Mike comes back with.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else? Item C, discussion of ordering new mics for the boardroom.
So Dan came up to me after the last board meeting and was talking to me about ordering new mics. I guess the school board's getting new mics, and it's the kind that, so if I remember, just what Dan told me, only you have to acknowledge to be heard. So I think you have some control. You'd have some control who would talk, Steve.
Good.
Oh, man.
Vouchers go a lot quicker.
These microphones are bad enough.
And
There's a big sign that says, please speak into the microphone, because we have such a hard time with these ones that are on all the time.
Yeah, well, the problem, how this came up, I should give you a little history. When we had large meetings in here for the Bergamot Townhomes a couple years ago, during the planning commission meetings, the room was packed, and unless you directly speak into the mic, we found you can't hear in the back of the room. So we've been trying to find a mic that, obviously captures your voice better. Peggy's been looking at it with Dan over the last couple of years, and so Dan, you want to come to the mic maybe?
We want to keep Dan happy.
Yeah, right. Talk to the guys running it,
They want
right?
us live.
Yeah.
Can you hear us back there, Jeff?
No, the school board got some new microphones in, and they are press to talk, and you can have two people on. This was from Peak Audio, I think, is where the school had it, theirs done. And two people can talk at any given time, and everybody else is muted, so that if you're playing like this, that is not coming through the microphones. But I just didn't know if some people, if they're back here and they want to talk, they're just going to talk anyway, and if they don't press the button, no one's going to hear them. So I just brought this up because we've been talking about it for quite a while, about microphones and everything else. We have a very antiquated system, antiquated speakers, antiquated microphones. So I just thought I'd throw out another idea to let you think about, and I don't know if this is going to be a room where we need that, and also if we are going to be moving to a different facility, is it something that can move with us? So there's many questions. I've been looking at this for well over a year now with Peggy and trying to figure out different options to make it work. The speakers in the ceiling half of them don't always work. They're 70-volt system. It's an old system. It's basically, I just threw an idea out there for you.
That's good. We appreciate that.
Thanks, Dan.
It's important that people in the whole room can hear us.
Yeah.
Rather than sitting.
I think it'd be a good investment.
Yeah.
I don't, even when the civic campus plan happens, it isn't like we're gonna be out of this building tomorrow or next week or even next year. It's gonna be a while.
That will be the last ones.
Yeah.
You're out of order, Jeff.
So-
I'm going to push the button. It's gonna be-
So it'll be race to talk then. So we'll be two people, first two.
I'm going to just get a control panel with 7 buttons up here.
Actually, there are places at county board meetings, that's what they do. They have.
Yep.
they
If I
push-
want you to
right?
talk, I'll push the button.
You have to be recognized. It's
Wouldn't
very-
it just be cheaper to get a koosh ball and we gotta have a talking ball or a talking stick or whatever we do?
We want to keep up the school board too, right? Okay, so.
Should we
we're
look
thinking-
into that
ahead,
and
look
bring some
into
ideas
it,
back?
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Do
All
we
right.
want to look into new speakers then too, since those don't work half the time?
Yeah.
Might as well
Like
go for it all.
kind of do like a system breakout.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it sounds like Dan will help us with that, so thanks, Dan, we appreciate it. Okay. Item D, discussion possible action about leasing the Pitney Bowes postal machine.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion, questions?
How are we gonna pay for it?
There's money in the budget. We have a machine now.
Okay.
I mean, it's just,
Looks like we'd be saving some money.
yeah, yep.
Yeah, that's less.
So if we can afford the old one, we should be able to afford the new one.
Okay.
That's,
You would hope.
Any other
I hope
questions?
so, Eric.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item E, discussion and possible action about appointing Board of Education member Gwen Mason to the Park Board, replacing Andy Weiland for a term expiring in 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, and thanks to Andy for his tour of duty. Did a nice job while he was there. Item F for information, Youth Center for January, February, and March statistics, as we have requested. Got those, and it continues to be a busy place with lots of activities. That's been a good place for our youth for a long time. Item G, discussion and possible action about hiring Staley Plumbing and Heating in the amount of $9,102. 2015-16 was $8,880 annually for maintenance of village buildings HVAC systems, which is an $18.50 a month increase.
So moved.
Second. Also, we might want to, just for discussion for public purpose, explain why we're working with Staley.
We were using somebody else from Beloit, and this is a couple years ago, and Mark was here, and the board said, that's fine for 1 year, but the board wanted us to find somebody local,
Okay.
and that's what we did. And I will, my opinion, they're doing a great job on our buildings. This is the best since I've been here, that particularly this building has felt.
Okay. No,
They're very
Yeah.
responsive and they
Yeah.
do very.
I just wanted to provide some background for
Yep.
the public.
And, I mean, like even Rudy, who's had to deal with all the problems on it, the PD said they are great to work with.
Yeah, I know, that's been
Yeah.
a problematic building.
Yep.
And we'll be having some, they just recently did some boiler inspections, and you'll be seeing some things coming your way with some fairly significant repairs that.
For this building?
This building as well as, police department.
Will we be bidding those, sending that out to bid, or?
You know, what we've been doing, I mean, what has happened in the past is Staley will come out, maybe do an inspection, they've noticed things that are wrong, or if we could call them out here for some repair, which has not been unusual. We come in here and it's freezing cold in the morning and find out that a certain solenoid valve isn't working, so they would then give us that estimate and do the repair. This is probably work we would not bid out. It's not like replacing an entire boiler, it's really maintenance issues.
Okay,
I wouldn't
thanks.
recommend going out for bid on that. I think we'd spend probably more time and more money in chasing that one.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Item H, follow up to question from April 18th board meeting.
Was that voted?
I don't think we.
Oh,
voted
I'm
on
sorry.
that. Yeah.
Trying to get done here.
Sorry.
No, thanks, I didn't look at my notes. Okay, so, any other questions on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thanks. Thank you.
Item H, follow up to question from April 18th board meeting on good intent calls. This is in the fire chief's report.
That was Doug's question.
Yeah, that
so
was a
Okay.
question of mine.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
I will do
They
that.
are dispatched and canceled en route. Incident was cleared and canceled prior to arrival of the responding unit.
Get it.
Thanks. Item 17, report of committees. Item A, Park Board meeting, April 6, 2016. Trustee Brett Hauer.
Yeah, there may be two motions here. I don't know if you want to look at it that way, but the first one, possible action is review of park reservation system and the cross team's use of Bergamot Park. The neighborhood park on Bergamot was used for a practice by older kids. I guess it was unexpected and there was a problem with that having taken place. So the general question about what is a policy when there's certain fields that are not in the reservation system. That's part of it. And then the other part was to draft a letter to the sports organizations to have limited use of the parks not in the reservation system. So it seems like there's two possible issues there.
But I think the motion at this point coming out of the park board is just to send a letter and that Judy, the new park board member, and Amy are gonna work on the other part.
Review of the policy.
That's what I thought, Doug.
Okay.
I think so. She's going, yes, okay.
So we have the motion to draft the letter. Do we have a second?
Second.
And who's writing that letter?
Well, was it you or Dan?
I wrote a draft and it's in Dan's hands.
Oh, Dan's hand, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will that come to us before it goes out, or how's that gonna work?
Do you wanna see it before it goes
I
out?
don't know.
Oh. I can put on the next, well, it's up to the board. If you wanna see it, I'd be happy to do that. I'll talk.
I don't know that I personally would have anything to add to it. It sounds like they've got their arms around the issue, and now it's just a matter of educating and clarifying and taking a look at the policy.
Is the park board gonna look at it before it goes out?
I would, yes.
Okay, then that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
I'm
meet-
not
they
sure
have
it's
a-
that simple, Jeff.
They have a meeting Wednesday.
It's a complicated issue that crops up periodically with use of neighborhood parks, how that all works.
if you want to update us on the resultant
Yeah.
policy. that'd
Oh,
be
yeah,
great.
well, it's gonna come out of the park board as a recommendation.
I just have a quick question. Also in that, they were saying, there was a comment about the school board gave $18,000 to the town of Oregon for the,
Disc golf.
yeah, the disc. They were wondering why. Why would they give it to there and they shouldn't be back here in our village? I don't know what,
It was turned down, I
what?
think. It was turned down.
It was turned down.
Yes, I believe so.
Turned down.
Okay. 'Cause I didn't read that part of it. I didn't see that part. Okay.
Yeah, the project was canceled, I think, right? Yeah. So it's not happening.
It's not happening. Okay.
Okay.
I just thought it shouldn't be.
Anything else on item 17A1? Okay, so the motion second, to approve the park board drafting a letter to the sports organizations to have limited use of the parks not in the reservation system. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 18, minutes not requiring action. There are none before us tonight. Item 19, unfinished business, discussion and possible action regarding parking regulations. 17.02 sub 8, restricted parking of certain vehicles. The recommended motion is the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 1609 and repeal and recreate section 7.02 sub 8 relating to large vehicle parking restrictions, and a thank you to village resident David Ast for his input and suggestions regarding parking regulations.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
This has been before us for several books. Do we have anything else to add to it, or are we all okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, thank you. Item 20, new business, approval of pending new operator licenses. These are approved by the police department. At headquarters, Christopher Whitaker and Jared Keel. And Alpine Liquors, James Goifon.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item B, approval of pending renewal operator license approved by the police department. At headquarters, Cheyenne Jones.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 21 lists some future agenda items that will come our way, which takes us to item 22, which is the motion and second for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thanks for your good work, everyone.
a lot of fun and it's pretty safe. So your flat screen TVs and windows and lamps and stuff are pretty good. So these guys everybody's going to go and they're going to come around and show you really close up some of the tricks that they've learned with this. So enjoy some of the tricks. Here they come.